Discapacidad Televisión.
¡Hola mundo!
Primer canal de televisión dedicado al colectivo de personas con discapacidad desde 2006.
Hola, bienvenidos a Discapacidad Televisión. Recuerda suscribirte para no perderte los últimos estrenos y programas en vivo. Danos un me gusta, y así nos ayudarás a conocerte mejor. Por favor, no te olvides de compartir. Así, más personas podrán disfrutar de Discapacidad Televisión y toda su programación. Muchas gracias.
Estacionamientos para personas con discapacidad. Porque nos mueve incluir. Te invitamos a conocer el uso correcto de los estacionamientos exclusivos para personas con discapacidad. ¡Vamos! Es importante que sepas que para utilizar los estacionamientos exclusivos, el vehículo debe ser conducido o trasladar a una persona con discapacidad. No olvides dejar a la vista tu credencial de discapacidad en original, al interior del vehículo, en el costado inferior izquierdo del parabrisas delantero. Recuerda, la Cruz de Malta no es un documento válido para hacer uso de estos estacionamientos y según la ley de tránsito, su uso indebido es una infracción grave. Carabineros e inspectores municipales son los encargados de fiscalizar y cursar las infracciones correspondientes. Respetar los estacionamientos exclusivos para las personas con discapacidad es respetar sus derechos.
¿Conoces los programas que conforman a la CNDH? 6. Atención a personas con discapacidad. Este importante programa, perteneciente a la primera Visitaduría General, trabaja de manera conjunta con organizaciones de la sociedad civil y dependencias de los 3 órdenes de gobierno, a través de la promoción, difusión, orientación y acompañamiento en casos de presunta vulneración a los derechos humanos de las personas con discapacidad. Además, realiza investigaciones, informes y diagnósticos acerca del estado que guardan los derechos humanos de este sector de la población, a fin de dar a conocer las áreas de oportunidad, coadyuvando con la asertiva toma de decisiones en pro de la inclusión. Si consideras que tus derechos han sido vulnerados, acércate a nosotros. En la Comisión Nacional de los Derechos Humanos, defendemos al pueblo.
La Universidad Católica Boliviana San Pablo abre sus espacios educativos promoviendo medidas de acción positiva que favorece la inclusión en la educación superior de personas con necesidades educativas específicas, a través del área de inclusión, discapacidad y equidad, la cual facilita el tránsito adecuado en el acceso, permanencia y salida exitosa de sus estudiantes. Promueve la actualización en la formación docente sobre la temática. Desarrolla e implementa mecanismos y estrategias de apoyo equitativo en el aula. Aplica el modelo social de la discapacidad para transformar culturas y prácticas inclusivas. Todos los días en la Universidad Católica Boliviana trabajamos con entusiasmo, creando sinergias en la comunidad universitaria por la igualdad de oportunidades con responsabilidad y respeto, sobre todo personas.
Discapacidad Televisión.
¡Hola mundo!
Primer canal de televisión dedicado al colectivo de personas con discapacidad desde 2006. A continuación, Footless EE.UU, más allá de una amputación. Presenta EE.UU BECKWITH. Características de este programa. Audio en inglés, subtítulos en castellano.
Hello there, my beautiful, lovely internet friends. Welcome back to my channel. I am Footless Joe. I'm missing a foot. I can't show you right now because my puppy's in my lap and I'm not going to move him. But I wanted to tell you everything today that you've ever wondered about phantom pain and sensation. This is something that fascinated me long before I became an amputee, and I always wondered what it'd be like to actually feel that, actually go through that. So we're going to dive into that today and answer a lot of the questions that you guys asked over in my community tab. Just like the concept of phantom pain and sensation is so bizarre, because if you think about it on the surface, you remove a body part, you remove the sensation, you know, the nerve is gone. Hello again, Sully. Why would you still feel anything? So it's a crazy thing, and I really enjoy talking about it in theory, but I really don't like actually experiencing it, because I deal with phantom pain every single day, and I've not found effective ways of dealing with it, and I'll talk about that a little bit later in this video. But first, a very quick word from our sponsor, and then we're going to dive into all of your questions which were submitted on the community page about phantom pain and sensation. And let's move on to phantom pain. Let's get the basics out of the way. What is phantom pain? Essentially, it is your brain trying to communicate with a part of your body that isn't there. So when you're born, your brain has a map of where everything is, how it communicates to every part of your body. When you lose a body part, that map doesn't necessarily get updated. And so your brain is still trying to send signals and communicate with something that isn't there. And a very unprofessional way of describing it is basically those signals get lost in translation and you feel all kinds of wacky things because of it. Gabriella asked, does the mirror trick actually work? So what they're talking about is mirror therapy, where basically you place a big mirror between your legs, you look into the side of the mirror that your good leg is on, and it looks like you have two legs again. Doing different motions and kind of trying to mimic them on both sides can be very therapeutic for a lot of people. Also, when people are having phantom pain or phantom itching, sometimes doing this and itching the leg that still exists and looking at it in the mirror, because you can trick your mind into thinking that that leg is being touched. It actually works. For me, I have not noticed that it provides a lot of immediate relief. I've tried that many times. Mirror therapy for me was something that helped over time lessen the severity of phantom pain, but it's never been super effective for me when I am experiencing pain or sensation right in that moment. Lucy asks, how long does an episode of pain typically last? How long was the longest episode you ever had? As I got out of my amputation surgery, I didn't have phantom pain. I had surgical pain. I got home, still didn't have phantom pain. But come a few more days after that, it began, and when it ramped up, oh my God, came with a passion. There were hours where I was sitting on the couch in tears, feeling like I was losing my mind because I felt like a cattle prod was being pushed to the bottom of my foot every 3 seconds. Brian, my husband, can attest to this. I would just be just jumping and crying and yelping sometimes every few minutes for hours. And that was probably one of the only moments where I really questioned, was this the worst decision I have ever made in my entire life? Because I can't deal with this. And one of the difficult things about nerve pain, which is what phantom pain is that it's hard to treat. Normal medications like, ibuprofen or acetaminophen or even Vicodin, Percocet don't really touch it for most people, if anyone. So I was put on 2 different, nerve pain medications. Neither one really worked super well for me, but I did start doing mirror therapy and that definitely helped. Now, 3 years after the fact, I'd say that the longest episodes of pain I have are never longer than minutes. Sometimes they'll last for up to a half an hour, where I'll just get these zaps of pain every minute or every 2 minutes for half an hour. The average day though, I'd say I feel it 10 to 20 times a day, but it's spread throughout. It's usually very fast. Are there ever any positive phantom sensations, like someone holding or rubbing you? Do you feel as if you still have muscle memory in the rest of your leg in terms of toes? Could I crunch my toes or anything like that? So I don't think I have ever had a positive phantom sensation. I've definitely had neutral ones. From the moment that I woke up from my amputation, I felt my toes, like in this current moment, as I see that my leg very clearly ends right there, I can still feel my toes. I could wiggle my toes, like I'm literally in my head. I even can like activate some of the muscles still. I have never not felt my foot still being there, even as I've gone through surgeries and used a prosthetic leg. But aside from the neutral, I don't think that there are a lot of positive sensations that I've ever felt. That Irish lad, excellent username, asks, what's the worst phantom pain you've ever had? Aside from the first couple weeks of recovering from surgery and then like doing mirror therapy to work through it, I would say the worst phantom pain I've ever had was a couple days ago. I'm actually gonna play part of a video. I started this video because phantom pain was kind of starting up a little bit, and I was like, okay, now would be a good time to do a video talking about like, hey, I'm in the midst of a phantom pain episode, here's what I do to deal with it. But instead, I just ended up filming some of the worst phantom pain I've had where it wouldn't stop. And when you see me making like these expressions or stopping mid-sentence, it was so painful. So painful. Like, imagine the worst cramp you've ever had, and then someone is also shocking you with really painful electricity, then also someone is like slowly slicing the inside of your foot. It was awful, and it lasted for, I would say, like 40 minutes. It is rare, but there are some days when it gets really bad, and I'd say ever since surgery, that is probably the worst one I've ever had. Putin Wagnerianer, I'm sure I did not say that correctly, asks, how located can phantom pain be? Is it just like general area where your leg used to be, or can it feel like your ankles, your foot, or individual toes hurt? I am very excited that someone asked this question, because one of the most fascinating things to me about phantom pain and sensation is how ridiculously specific it is. When I say I still feel my foot, my toes, my ankle, I feel them, and I feel them individually. I remember, oh, I'm so glad this is like coming back to me that this was a thing for a while. It hasn't happened a long time, so fingers crossed, but I used to feel like someone was paper cutting in between my like big toe and the toe right next to it, like just slicing paper. Like makes me cringe to think about it now, but I could tell you exactly where that was happening. And as I felt like slicing or burning sensations, like if my foot was there, I could point to like, it's exactly like 2 inches below that toe, it is right there. The way that our bodies are able to remember sensations and translate things is crazy to me. Emily asks, does phantom pain ever have a temperature trigger? Like, does phantom pain get worse if it's cold or warm, and can I fix it by using the opposite? I've never noticed a direct correlation to any kind of temperature, but there are certain situations that do make it worse. If I'm in the water, like warm water for a long time, like if I'm sitting in a bath or a hot tub, sometimes when I get out, it's just zapping and zapping and zapping. Other days it's totally fine, but that's definitely one trigger that I found. But for me, temperature in general really doesn't have that much of an effect. Rockaroo987, when does this affect you? Most often it is in the evening. It's usually when I'm just like chilling or relaxing. Occasionally I'll get it as I'm like walking throughout the day, like with steps and kind of like pressure on the bottom of my residual limb will trigger some of that pain, but usually it's like after 6 p.m. I don't know why. Asked, was it worth it to have the phantom pain over the ankle pain you had before? This was a major factor in me trying to make the decision about amputation, because phantom pain is serious. It's not a little thing. It's pretty severe for a lot of people. And I didn't know if I was just gonna be trading, you know, my ankle pain for something that was the same or worse. That was a risk I took, and it did pay off for me. For me, phantom pain, like I said, it sucks, but it does pass pretty quickly. It's not constant most days. It exists for brief moments, and those brief moments are very painful and uncomfortable, but then I can carry about my day. My ankle pain was sustained, a lot worse, prevented me from doing things. I think there have only been like 1 or 2 days ever where phantom pain has stopped me from like going to do something I had planned on doing. You guys ask such good questions. Jody asks, is there such a thing as phantom heat sensitivity, like getting cold toes in winter that can't warm up because they're not there? Yes, this happens all the time. I get like a frozen foot. Usually it's when my body in general is cold, like that foot will feel exponentially colder, but sometimes just randomly, it'll feel like it's in an ice bath. And I have found that warming the end of my leg, whether that be through like a heating pad or something like that, can provide some relief. It seems to kind of soothe the nerves or whatever is going on there. But yeah, differences in heat for sure. I never get the hot one, like I've never felt like it was too hot, but I often feel like it is freezing freaking cold. Ooh, I love this question. Jordan asks, if someone were to kick your prosthetic leg, would your body act like it's your real leg, and would it hurt? This blows my mind. The answer is I feel it for a second. There have been times when I like dropped something on my foot, right? And I saw it drop on my foot, my prosthetic foot, and I literally felt the impact of it for half a second. Like I felt the pain, I felt, you know, pressure on my foot just because I could visually see it happening. It was like my nerves were predicting what I was gonna feel, and so I was feeling it before it even happened. Also, a friend once gave me like a foot massage on my prosthetic foot, and if I am watching it happen, I freaking feel some of it. Like I feel like someone's kind of touching my foot. It is so absolutely bizarre and weird. Ashley asked, is there ever a time when it will stop being a thing an amputee has to deal with? You know, I don't know. I know some amputees who have never dealt with phantom pain. There is a surgery that can help with that I have had. Unfortunately, I'm in like the 15% that it wasn't effective for, but it's called a TMR surgery and it helps a lot of people alleviate that phantom pain and sensation. But in general, if you do have phantom pain, I don't actually know what the long-term outcomes are. I know that mine has not improved at all as time has gone on. It kind of just stabilized and has stayed at this level pretty permanently. Could it totally go away? Yeah, I think it could. I don't know how likely that is. If you're an amputee and it has for you, I would love to hear from you in the comment section down below. This is interesting. MK the Maniac, is there anything an outsider can do to help? Like would distracting you by talking about something else help? Thank you for asking this question. I think it's fantastic when people are like, how do I help, you know, my friends or my family members when they're dealing with fill in the blank. For me, distraction doesn't really work. When phantom pain hits, it is all encompassing for the moments that I am feeling it. If it's especially prolonged, I do better if I just sort of remove myself from social situations because I have a hard time managing pain and also trying to like be a person. I imagine this probably varies for everyone. The most helpful thing that has been for me is just people being like, is that phantom pain? I'm really sorry, that sucks. And just like acknowledging that I'm experiencing it. That feels validating and I feel less alone even though I'm the only person who's feeling it, right? So I think just being with people as they're going through it can be really helpful because it's the type of pain that can feel really lonely, if that makes any sense. So there are a couple things that I do that help phantom pain. For me, like just shaking my leg or like wiggling it, trying to like stimulate that area a lot can interrupt some of the nerve signals and sometimes helps it calm down quicker. Maybe that's in my head, I don't know, but it definitely does help. Like vibration, you know, just a lot of movement. Also sometimes massage, it just seems like general, you know, activity in this area can calm it down faster. You know what, there's so many more good questions on phantom pain that I wouldn't even think to answer that I'm actually gonna make this a two-part video. So I'm gonna end this video here, but be on the lookout for a phantom pain part 2 video because I do think this is such an interesting topic and I know for me it was so mind-boggling and I want to share as much as I can and answer your wonderful questions. Think of like a Pride Month or being proud of something. I think of feelings of like excitement. You want to show it off to the world, like this is yours, feelings of ownership. You're just really jazzed about something, right? And when I think about disability, those are not the feelings that come to mind. Very happy Disability Pride Month to you. I did not know until a few weeks ago that such a thing existed, but ever since then I've been having a lot of complicated thoughts and feelings about it because, shocker, I'm disabled. I am a below-the-knee amputee. Being someone who is disabled and has the honor of having an audience here on the internet, I immediately felt this pressure to like make disability pride content, but all I could think of was like, how am I gonna talk about how freaking awesome and amazing this is and how I want to share it with everybody when that is not what I actually feel? The vast majority, like almost all of the time, I feel like this is okay. I've made peace with it most days, but in no way am I like, everybody, go be disabled, it's the best, right? So I think that comes down to a lack of understanding about what pride means, but beyond that, I wanted to share with you some honest thoughts and feelings. And because I'm gonna be genuinely sharing my thoughts and feelings, I can pretty much guarantee that I am gonna say things that are very ableist. I'm very aware of the fact that as someone who has been raised in a culture where being disabled is not the norm, where it's seen as different, weird, and oftentimes bad, I have a lot of mindsets that are still instilled in me, prejudice towards disability, even though I am a member of that community. So I just want you to know that I am aware of the fact that a lot of what I'm about to say might not be the best way to word things or might be offensive to the disabled community or other communities. And if that's the case, I want to learn from it so I can be a better person in the future. But I also don't want to lie and represent a version of myself that isn't accurate. So what do we do about disability pride when we don't exactly feel proud. As we dive into this conversation, I want to give a big thank you to our fantastic sponsor today, Squarespace. Squarespace makes designing, growing, starting, building your very own website easy and enjoyable. They provide you with everything you need to grow and succeed online, whether you're starting a blog, running a t-shirt startup, or like me, redesigning your public speaking website. With an extensive gallery of award-winning layouts and templates, it makes this process really easy, especially if you're not a web designer, which I certainly am not. In the age of social media in which we live, Squarespace makes it fantastically simple to connect in your social media accounts, display content on your website, and make sure that everything is integrated and streamlined. I'm able to use their powerful blogging tools to schedule posts, categorize, share, manage comments, and so much more. Their analytics allow you to gain powerful, insightful information about your audience, which is really important to improving your website, to improving your business, to knowing how people interact with what you're putting out there and how to better serve them. If you're thinking about starting a website or a business, it can seem overwhelming because, do I have to know about coding, and is it going to be simple, and I've got to learn a whole new thing? But I can tell you from personally using it that Squarespace makes this whole process simple and easy and seamless and actually enjoyable to use. Check out squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you are ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/footlessshow for 10% off your first website or domain. And now let's get back to Disability Pride. If you did not know, July is Disability Pride Month. And like I said, when I found this out, it almost sounded like an oxymoron to me, because I'm like, disability is something that you are. I don't have a problem with the term, but it's not something that I would celebrate. Or as the dictionary definition tells us, feel a deep sense of pleasure or satisfaction from. When I think of disability, that is not what I think of. To me personally, when I think of disability, I think of working around limits. I think of a society that isn't built for you. I think of a really cool community filled with amazing people who are unfortunately often seen by a lot of society as different or weird. Like, we don't think this is normal, right? So disability to me is all about adapting to the world and making life work anyways and having a great time while I do that. But disability in and of itself is not something that I would celebrate. I almost feel anger hearing that, because I'm like, no, I'm not gonna celebrate a thing that hurts me, that's caused me a lot of discomfort and pain. Don't get me wrong, I am happy with myself and my life, but if I'm entirely honest with you, in a perfect world where everything works the way it's supposed to be, being someone who was born with 2 legs that worked at one point, like knowing what it was like to get up in the morning and not have to assemble myself, not have to worry about like a hole in my liner, or a screw came loose, or I got a bruise on my leg and now it hurts to walk for days, or I'm having skin issues underneath my liner. Like, having lived life as someone who wasn't disabled for the first few years of my life and having memory of that, I do see that as better. I spend next to no time sitting and like wishing my life was different, but in a perfect world, I would have both of my legs, right? Like, I will advocate and educate and have conversations all gosh darn day about disability and life as a disabled person and disability rights and advocacy. But that is because I continue to live in a world that is not built for me, and because so many of my friends continue to live in a world that is not built for them. I recently had this realization that really all being disabled means is that the world as a whole was not sculpted to benefit you. Because the majority of people have sight, we have a world that is built for sighted people. Because the majority of people are able to use their own 2 feet to walk, we have a world that is built for walking people. If human beings as a whole were never born with arms, if that's just not something that our species had, we would have a world that was built for armless people, but we don't have that. What we've built is a world for people who are not disabled, and thankfully we have come a far way with disability rights, with accessibility. Believe me, we have a long way to still go with social change and perception and how people treat each other, and that means we are going to learn how to adapt really gosh darn well and how to persevere and how to get through things, but that doesn't make it always a good thing or a positive experience. And I think my thoughts on this matter are very heavily informed by the fact that I am new to this. That it wasn't even 3 years ago that I lost my leg. Before that, I had a lot of health struggles, a lot of health challenges, but it wasn't nearly as visible, as public, or as unavoidable in my own head, if that makes sense. So I'm coming into this with years of fitting in to the world, the way that it was built, and trying to figure out what my genuine feelings are about disability pride is kind of difficult. Half the stuff I just said that I will keep in this video, I feel like a bad person for saying. I feel like the appropriate and socially acceptable response here is that being disabled is fantastic. This is an aspect of my identity that I'm proud of, that I want to like share with the world, that I take pleasure and satisfaction from, as the dictionary definition of the term says. Yes, dictionary definitions are very boring, but they are important. So I was really curious what other disabled people thought about this and other disabled voices. So I took to the internet to learn a little bit and to have my mind expanded, because I want to know if there's something I'm missing here, if I have a fundamental misunderstanding of what this is supposed to mean. And I came across this article by USA Today, which I will link down below, talking about what Disability Pride Month actually is. And I noticed that one of my acquaintances online, Tiffany EE.UU, who has a paralyzed hand from a car accident, she creates a lot of really awesome content on TikTok, was featured in this article. For Tiffany EE.UU, Disability Pride Month is about recognizing her disability as an integral part of who she is. For Anthony Rios, it's about accepting that his disability makes him different, not worse. I really like that one. For years, EE.UU tried to hide her disability by wearing long sleeve shirts and refusing to talk about the accident. She later developed PTSD and took on the challenge of healing and accepting herself. I think that so much of my healing process has been about really experiencing the full embodiment of who I can be and who I am. So this month is about people with disabilities like me falling in love with themselves. I really love that. See, that makes a lot of sense to me, because I'm like, yes, absolutely. You're taking your circumstances and being like, okay, I'm gonna embrace this and I'm gonna fall in love with who I am, and it's different, but it's not worse. I want to confront what creates ableism and why they don't like the word disabled, because in reality, there's nothing evil or wrong with being disabled, said EE.UU. And as I read through this article, I began saying like, oh yes, I totally get that, to so much more of it and having a deeper understanding of what this means. To me, disability pride is many things. It's a chance for disabled people to declare their inherent self-worth, something that isn't often done by individuals outside of the community. It's a chance for the disabled community to come together, uplift, and amplify one another. Perhaps more importantly, it's a time for all of us to make a whole lot of noise in the fight for disability justice. As I began digging into the voices of disabled people and what they actually had to say about this month, the more I felt at home with those statements. The more I was like, yes, that's absolutely true, or like, I respect that that is that for you, or I get that pride means this to you. One of the most important things that I have learned in my life as an amputee is that everybody is different. A lot of the times there isn't a right answer. There's a this fits for this person and this doesn't fit for this person answer. I am someone who will happily show you my prosthetic leg. I wear shorts all of the time, right? Because that works well for me and I'm happy to do it. But I know a lot of people who do not want to be seen as amputees, who want to cover their prosthetics at all costs. Neither one of those things is bad or good. It's a personal choice. It's about comfort and what you feel comfortable doing. And hearing what Disability Pride Month means to different members of my community, it started to make a lot more sense to me. And I also felt a lot less pressure to force myself to be happy about something that maybe I wasn't feeling. So as I have processed through all of this, I've come up with my own definition of what Disability Pride Month means to me this month, in 2021, as a 30-year-old, and I fully expect this to change as years go on. As a disabled woman, I am gosh darn proud of the perseverance that I have. I am really proud of the fact that I have chosen to face things head on. I think of all the little things that I've learned how to do, or how to adjust to, or how to adapt to, and I do feel that like sense of pride, like that swelling of the chest, or just like feeling pleased with it, right? I think about learning to run, which is something I'm doing right now, or the process of getting ready in the morning or washing everything down at night, no longer being overwhelming, and the journey that it took to get there and persevering through it, and I am really proud of that. I am very proud of some of the education around this topic and the conversations that I've had, and that I've been able to be a part of that. I definitely do not for a second think that being disabled makes you any less of a person. It doesn't make me any less of a human being, but it is different. It is about adjusting and, like I said, adapting to a world that isn't really built for you. To use my voice and my platform to advocate for my community and build connections with the able-bodied community and see if we can all come together and make the world a better place for everybody. I think it also means accepting that there are a lot of days when I'm frustrated with disability, when I am bummed out about the fact that my body sometimes limits what I am able to do, that there are going to be days when I have to skip something because my body just isn't with it. I also think that within disability pride, there is more than enough room for how each individual person feels. If you are someone like me who maybe doesn't feel a lot of super positive, happy feelings around disability itself, that is a-okay. There is absolutely room for you and for me within this month to sculpt what this means to you. If the statement "I'm proud of my disability" doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. I think there are so many pieces to find within this identity, things that we are proud of, and that is something I'm continuing to look at in my own life. When labels like disability cover such a huge spectrum of human existence and experience, I think it's important that we all use our voices to decide what that means to us. And that's a little bit about what disability means to me, and some of the things that I think about, and some of the things that I'm working on, and some of the things that I know aren't great to think, and also some of the things that I am genuinely very proud of in my own life that have come as a side effect of my disability. Things that I have adapted to and figured out and persevered through and overcome. And so I'm curious, if you are a member of the disabled community, visible, invisible, wherever you might find yourself, what does this month mean to you? If you are an able-bodied person, what does hearing about this month mean to you? How does that strike you? What do you think when you think of disability? I'm honestly curious to hear your real comments down below, and I look forward to reading through those. Right now, thank you so much for spending a few minutes out of your day here with me today. You could be anywhere else in the world doing anything else, and you chose to hang out with me for a few minutes, and I really appreciate that. I love you guys, I'm thinking about you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.
Discapacidad Televisión.
¡Hola mundo!
Primer canal de televisión dedicado al colectivo de personas con discapacidad desde 2006.
Hola, bienvenidos a Discapacidad Televisión. Recuerda suscribirte para no perderte los últimos estrenos y programas en vivo. Danos un me gusta, y así nos ayudarás a conocerte mejor. Por favor, no te olvides de compartir, así, más personas podrán disfrutar de Discapacidad Televisión y toda su programación. Muchas gracias.
Voy a contar hasta 3 y empezamos. 1, 2, 3.
Aprendamos a expresar, a ver, oír y escuchar. Aprendamos a cantar y a movernos en igualdad. Que toda discapacidad, sin importar la edad, es para la humanidad una gran verdad. Pero al final, ser personas es nuestra capacidad.
¡Vamos, chicos!
Déjame contarte un secreto a voces sobre aquellos sin voz. Déjame mostrarte el infinito de los que no pueden ver. Déjame caminar contigo por aquellos que no pueden. Déjame sin manos enseñarte a sentir y aprender a vibrar. Es cuestión de equidad. Aprendamos a expresar, a ver, oír y escuchar. Aprendamos a cantar y a movernos en igualdad. Que toda discapacidad, sin importar la edad, es para la humanidad una gran verdad. Pero al final, ser personas es nuestra capacidad. Ser personas es nuestra capacidad. Ser personas es nuestra capacidad. Déjame mirarte a los ojos con los míos llenos de paz. Deja que la libertad nos muestre el camino de la identidad. Déjame tomarte de la mano, encontremos igualdad. Vamos que el futuro solo sin importar la edad, es para la humanidad una gran verdad, pero al final ser personas es nuestra capacidad. Ser personas es nuestra capacidad. Ser personas es nuestra capacidad.
Os vamos a contar una historia, la historia de Yara, Mario, Luca, Yaisa, Elia, Dani y de muchos otros niños y niñas que acudimos a la ludoteca inclusiva del Centro de Atención Infantil y Juvenil de APAM.
Aquí nuestro objetivo es jugar y sobre todo hacerlo con lo que queramos y entre nosotros. Lo que pasa que a veces parece que estamos jugando al teléfono estropeado y no nos entendemos entre nosotros. Y menudo lío se crea cuando jugamos.
No tiene gafas.
¿Es una bicicleta?
Sí. No estoy entiendo. No entiendo.
¡Ya sé!
¿Soy un instrumento? Sí, soy un instrumento. ¿Es de madera?
¿Tiene coleta?
Soy un tambor.
Sí. Y en otras ocasiones los juguetes temen por su vida.
¡Tengo una idea!
¡Ey, Iker! ¡Ven aquí! Mira. ¡Sí, así! ¡Muy bien! ¡Porque así jugamos todos!
¿Sabías que hay una convención para personas con discapacidad ratificada por Colombia que promueve los derechos para estas personas? Pero ¿sabes quiénes son las personas con discapacidad?
Son aquellas personas que presentan deficiencias personales de largo plazo que pueden ser físicas, intelectuales, mentales, sensoriales, que al interactuar con las barreras sociales que interponen los contextos generan la imposibilidad de participar en igualdad de condiciones.
Desde el origen de la humanidad, las personas con discapacidad fueron interpretadas como un castigo divino. También, desde el modelo médico, fueron reconocidas como con una enfermedad. Esto ha generado que las personas con discapacidad busquen adaptarse ante la sociedad.
Por supuesto, tú puedes ayudar a romper estas barreras de participación. ¿Quieres conocer cuáles son estas barreras que enfrentan las personas con discapacidad?
Barreras sociales son aquellos obstáculos que impiden la participación en las diferentes esferas de la vida. Un ejemplo de ellas y las más visibles son las barreras físicas o arquitectónicas, que restringen o impiden el acceso de las personas con discapacidad.
También hay barreras político-institucionales como falta de concientización en la regulación de las normatividades de la accesibilidad a las personas con discapacidad, tanto en el acceso médico y en la parte de educación inclusiva.
También hay barreras comunicativas que restringen la comunicación y la información, como es la falta de un intérprete de lenguaje de señas, los medios audiovisuales y los medios tecnológicos que no les permiten esta comunicación.
Finalmente, las barreras actitudinales son aquellas causadas por prejuicios y estereotipos que encasillan a las personas con discapacidad. Expresiones como las personas con discapacidad son incapaces de tomar decisiones.
¿Te imaginarías tú enfrentar estas barreras? ¿Tendrías el valor de cambiar esto?
Los invitamos y las invitamos a no referirse a estas personas con palabras como discapacitado, minusválido, deficiente, enfermita, incapacitado, anormal o utilizar frases de pesar o con diminutivos.
Una manera adecuada es referirse a las personas por su nombre o anteponer la palabra persona, persona con discapacidad.
Eliminar las barreras sociales no es nada fácil. La inclusión es reconocer las capacidades diversas que cada persona tiene.
Colombia, potencia de la vida.
¿Qué estamos haciendo para que Lima sea una ciudad más inclusiva? En la región de América Latina, entre el 10 y el 12% es el consenso de población con algún tipo de discapacidad.
Yo subí a Metropolitano precisamente al alimentador pensando que era accesible para todos y me caí. Creo que este accidente, aunque fue muy negativo, fue positivo porque llegué a concientizar a las personas lo que era necesario hacer un cambio en este sistema, porque todos necesitamos un sistema accesible. Para salir diariamente de mi casa, llamo un taxi de aplicación para preguntarle si puede llevar la silla de ruedas. Luego subo al taxi y bueno, me deja, si necesito en el Metropolitano.
La Plaza de 2 de Mayo y su renovación costó $1.9 millones y se hizo gracias a una donación japonesa administrada por el Banco Mundial. Pero tal vez lo más importante es que se hizo con la participación de personas con discapacidad.
Desde que el Banco Mundial y SOI nos llamaron a un grupo de personas con discapacidad porque manifestemos nuestras opiniones, me sentí incluida, ¿no? La verdad, táctil es vital y es súper importancia porque las personas ciudadanas usan mucho el metropolitano. Las rampas son una maravilla, no tenías que hacer esfuerzo, podías moverte con total libertad.
Este plan genera un contexto regulatorio en torno a la accesibilidad. En segundo lugar, nosotros, como institución internacional, el Banco Mundial, tiene unas salvaguardas que protegen a las poblaciones más vulnerables y que nos obligan, de cierta forma, a estar muy atentos a que esas poblaciones tengan acceso a los servicios públicos que nosotros financiamos.
El ascensor fue de vital importancia porque me permitió subir con facilidad sin necesitar a alguien que me ayude a apretar el botón porque los botones están abajo. Si fuera una persona ciega también me hubiera ayudado un montón porque estaba la señalización en braille y también me hablaba para saber en qué piso bajar y en qué piso subir.
Invito a que todas las personas podamos trabajar juntos, ¿no? El Banco Mundial y otras instituciones peruanas y de afuera para lograr una ciudad cada vez más inclusiva, más moderna, una ciudad para todos.
Diversidad es México. Personas con discapacidad. En México hay cerca de 6.180.000 personas con discapacidad, lo que representa el 4.9% de la población total, siendo la mayoría mujeres, con el 53%, y hombres, el 47% restante. El INEGI identifica a las personas con discapacidad como aquellas que tienen dificultad para llevar a cabo actividades consideradas básicas. Las más comunes son caminar, 48%, ver, 44%, oír, 22%, bañarse, vestirse o comer, 19%, recordar o concentrarse, 19%, y hablar o comunicarse, 15%. Aunado a ello, la discriminación es un aspecto que también sufren las personas con discapacidad, ya que 1 de cada 4 personas la ha padecido. Y según la encuesta nacional sobre discriminación, ENADIS 2017. Las principales problemáticas que enfrentan son calles, instalaciones y transportes públicos inadecuados, 31.1%. Falta de oportunidad para encontrar empleo, 30%. Costo en cuidados, terapias y tratamientos, 21.5%. Este grupo de la población también enfrenta condiciones pronunciadas de exclusión. De acuerdo con resultados del ENADIS 2017, de las personas de 18 años o más encuestadas, el 25.4% de los hombres y 23.8% de las mujeres creen que las personas con discapacidad son de poca ayuda en el trabajo. Por ello, es fundamental la promoción y protección de sus derechos humanos para lograr su plena inclusión en la sociedad y puedan desarrollarse en condiciones de igualdad y dignidad. Todas y todos debemos respetar los derechos de las personas con discapacidad. Diversidad es México. Comisión Nacional de los Derechos Humanos. Defendemos al pueblo.
Discapacidad Televisión.
¡Hola mundo!
Primer canal de televisión dedicado al colectivo de personas con discapacidad desde 2006.
Hola, bienvenidos a Discapacidad Televisión. Recuerda suscribirte para no perderte los últimos estrenos y programas en vivo. Danos un me gusta, y así nos ayudarás a conocerte mejor. Por favor, no te olvides de compartir. Así, más personas podrán disfrutar de Discapacidad Televisión y toda su programación. Muchas gracias.